And hello! Welcome to Ask Anything with Chef Billy and Bullskunk. How is everybody doing tonight?
Well, we're fantastic. Appreciate you having us on here.
Yeah, not a problem.
Good night.
It's an honor. You guys have been you guys have been big in leading me and supporting me in this past year, and it's gonna be good to get in some background knowledge of you guys and how you started off, and um, how you kind of grew up to where you are now, pushing into that like top tier of esports and Overwatch
Oh,
casting.
that's flattery will get you everywhere.
Yeah,
I know,
keep
I
keep
know.
keep coming.
Yes.
Keep it coming.
I don't know how true that is, but I'll take it. I appreciate the compliment.
Right.
Okay. So to kick off our first question, guys. Um, so both of you have been in the esports scene for as long as I can remember. I've been in it for a year and a little bit from now. Um, you're both breaking through as some of the best upcoming casters in the Overwatch scene. Um, what did you both do before working in esports?
Uh, well, I'll start off with this one. I mean, saying working in esports also. I mean, like we'll use that term loosely right now. We are kind of starting to get off the ground as far as that goes, but it's definitely early on. Prior to casting, and really they overlapped quite a bit. But I went through a couple of jobs. I bartended for a number of years, which was really good for kind of taking command of a space. Like there's a lot of skills in bartending as far as being the authority in the room and being comfortable in your own skin and kind of commanding the room because that's the bartender is considered the authority in that space. So there's a lot of skills there that translated really well past just the knowledge of cocktails and being able to serve drinks and all that. But being able to tailor what you do to the individual. Past that, like I worked in an art studio for a little under a year. That was what I was doing through 2019, doing a lot of lighting for like this super creative like pop-up art gallery where it wasn't like your traditional white wall gallery where you just had pictures hanging on the walls. Like we brought in like 25 artists from around the Dallas scene where I live, and they painting the walls, painting the ceilings, doing these huge creative installations that all kind of overlapped, and so I took a multitude of lights to that and just kind of creatively lit all that to bring out their work and accentuate their work. So I mean, I've kind of been all over the place the past few years, but once 2020 hit and the pandemic hit, well, let's just say pop-up art gallery wasn't exactly essential. So it kind of forced my hand as far as just pouring myself 100% into casting.
I guess that's my cue. So by my moniker, Chef Billy, that's what I've done ever since I got out of the Navy. I went to culinary school after I got out of the Navy. Went to Le Cordon Bleu, lived in France for 18 months, and then came back here, got my head right and got my life together, moved to Missouri, and started cooking here. Got nominated for a James Beard Regional Award in '07 for a restaurant called Touch. It was a Persian Mediterranean fusion restaurant. And yeah, I've worked at country
For those
clubs.
who don't know, that's like the highest reward you can get in the service industry. A James Beard is extremely prestigious. Anyway, just put context to that.
I downplay it. I downplay it.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying. I'm just.
I just got
throwing that out there.
nominated. I didn't win anything. I wasn't even near the top. So
Still,
it was
that's
still a
incredible.
pretty high honor.
No, that's
Um,
incredible. Yeah.
But then I kind of switched gears after the country club. I worked at a jail as a kitchen manager for a while. And then I started working at Missouri State University and worked my way up to executive sous chef. So I have fine dining, I have institutional dining, and I've got, educational dining under my belt. So I can literally do it all. As far as getting into casting, I guess this will segue into probably your next question. I was competing in the CGL, which is where both Bullskunk and I come from. Bullskunk came in later than I did. I was actually a player. Not a very good one. We'll go ahead and mention that right now. But I was a competitor. I was a captain, and I kind of got ticked off that we weren't getting the same coverage that the higher tiers were getting. And they said, well, we have to, spread the love out. We have to make sure that everybody's getting the knowledge that or the coverage. And we tend to skew a little bit to the higher because, we're trying to pull in more viewers. And they said, if you want to, you're more than happy to apply to the stream team. So I did. And the rest is history.
Definitely. And just as a follow-on question, Bullskunk, what's your favorite drink to make?
Oh wow! As far as bartending,
Yeah.
ooh, I have a few. It kind of depends. Like favorite to make and favorite to drink kind of go hand in hand. I would go with probably a classic whiskey sour, which is like egg white whiskey sour, does not have ice, very frothy, one of the most delicious drinks that you could do. I studied in classic cocktails. I took it very seriously. Like if I was gonna bartend, I was gonna be the best freaking bartender I possibly could. And so as far as history of where everything came from and all that, like I took it really seriously and really delved into classic cocktails. So any of those, I love doing. A Last Word is particularly delicious, one of my favorites. So it's
Awesome. Billy, what's your favorite food to cook, even if it's a comfort food or high dining?
Oh, man.
You can choose
Noodles.
one of each if you like. Noodles.
Noodles.
I've seen some of your noodle pictures. They're incredible.
I
you're
mean,
just
I'm
trying to
always,
make everybody hungry, aren't you? I see how it is.
yeah, it's noodles, and I explore the world through their use of noodles. I've always been a noodle boy. I like I like North African noodles. They're made out of Burberry and barley. Of course, Italian noodles. I love Asian noodles. The four traditional types of Japanese noodles. Yeah, I mean, I could get drunk on noodles every day, and so I'm always exploring, different cuisines as far as their noodles because it tells a story of what their palate is, what their history is, what their food history is, and it just excites the hell out of me. There's no other way to put it. I love noodles, and I can eat noodles every single day.
I
think we
had
can
no
all
idea they were
agree.
North African noodles. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
I think we can all agree they're incredible.
I like
Alright.
noodles.
So I know Billy touched on this, but there are many opportunities for people to get into broadcasting, casting, production. How did you guys get into it? What was your first gig? I know you touched on CGL. Did you both start in CGL?
CGL came a little bit later for me. By 6 or 7 months. I mean, that was just because, and this is it's a console gaming league. Big Pog in chat there. Mears, look at that. Look at
Missed.
that. Anyway, so it's a console gaming league. I've been playing on console for a long time. I mean, it was just that's just kind of my vibe. And
we all have.
yeah, and actually, coincidentally enough, I got started at Elo Hell Pugs. Like, unironically, I mean, not a plug. Like, I literally got started at Elo Hell Pugs, and not super high SR myself. And so there were times where with Pugs, you have two captains, and you choose your team from the players available. And there were a couple times where I didn't get picked and ended up riding the bench. Well, just started like shoutcasting the Pug match for fun. I mean, like with no intention of it ever going anywhere. Like just it ended up like me and one other person, and we just shoutcasted for fun. Or be me and one other person and a couple of people who just kind of sat quietly. But after a couple weeks of doing this, like, wait a minute, this is actually really fun. And there was a gentleman in there by the name of McNutty Nutman, was his name, who was like, okay, you're actually really kind of good at this. Like, you might have a knack for this. Would you have any interest in doing, tournaments and actually trying to cast in any kind of, to say official capacity, but to something other than a pug? And that got me in touch with another friend. That's Poplin there. You got to steal the camera, don't you? Got to get in there.
She's a
That's my floof. That's my floof. She's a boomer just like I am. But needless to say, so that led to these kind of community tournaments going on console. And one I picked up about 3/4 of the way through and just cast a couple of matches for it. And then through that got in touch with an organization called Danny DeFito. or it was an org that competed in the console gaming league, who had been around for a few years by that point. But they put on their own little community tournament, and they were the ones that gave me my first opportunity to cast a tournament like through and through. And I just fell in love. Like, there was just nothing like it. The closest thing I can equate to casting is like playing a live show. I'm a musician as well, so that's what it very much reminded me of, that live experience, that living in the moment, that performance type of side of things. And I was hooked, like just 100%, not going back. Like, I was absolutely hooked, and continued to do that throughout 2019. While working and doing other things. And then when 2020 did hit, that also happened to be the start of the next big CGL tournament, which is like a 4-month long, 6 tiers, runs across all SR ranges. And that was where me and Billy started casting together. Just a kind of prelude that we can follow up on that later. But where we really like put in 100 matches worth of casting in 4 months' time, and really kind of started taking it to the next level.
That's insane. Yeah, well, I think we all had a pretty similar start in terms of doing console to begin with, and then moving on. But you never forget your roots, right?
Exactly.
No. I still love the CGL. I still talk to them every day. I mean, that's where we found you. If we want to really turn it, I actually think I interviewed you to become a caster when you were going by Bolter, and yeah, I've done a VOD review with you. I've given you as many hints as I could. I mean, yeah. I love the CGL. I still talk, like I said, I still talk to them every day. Happy birthday, Nips, out there, by the way. It's his birthday. He looks
and
like
was
12, but he's like 30-ish.
And what was particularly valuable about that was it was a small show. I mean, it was for doing CGL in particular, Billy and I, did it all by ourselves. For the community tournaments prior to that, I was making overlays. So that's, I went to school for animation and graphic design, so I'm very fluent in Photoshop and all that. So I would literally make all the overlays, do the producing, do the observing, obviously do the play-by-play casting. Billy would typically be in charge of communicating with the teams and herding the cats that are the teams themselves. And it really gave us some insight into all the little different fields that we know now are all kind of separate jobs and very much different skill sets. And sure, we probably didn't excel at any one of those things, but it gave us a little flavor for all of the different attributes of running a production, which was really cool. And so it was, I think that was immensely beneficial to our careers moving forward. Because now I know what it takes to be a good obs and to run a good production, and can really appreciate those things and really recognize those things. It was an incredible experience, and certainly wouldn't be here otherwise.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think as we've started to go up the ladder a little bit, I think that we started having to do absolutely everything, and now slowly as we go higher, things are being peeled away from us. So the higher we get, the less we have to do. It is kind of pog, because I don't have to herd the cats in the lobby and do the substitutions and make sure that the team names are right, make sure that the logos are right, they're attacking, defending. Oh my god. Yeah, it used to be very fun. There's the baby. Oh, I love Poplin. She's our constant companion.
Yeah, she's my mascot, my support.
So can you guys talk about when you first casted together, and after that, why did you want to decide to keep casting as a duo?
Got a funny story for that one.
Go ahead. Take it away, Billy.
I mean, it was Danny DeVito, right? Is where we first cast together?
I think so.
Yeah, there was one cast that I couldn't make because I had to end up staying and doing a catering event. And I was really ticked off because I really wanted to cast with you because you had a dynamic voice. But, yeah, Danny DeVito was the first one that we casted with. I was actually a member of the org. I was their Tier 1 captain. And I was casting as well, so I had
just to clarify, it goes backwards on console.
Yeah.
So tier 1 is like
I'm a
gold
poo
level,
player.
And then tier 6 is top 500, and then they have everything. So it's confusing with we know tier 1, 2, and 3 is OWL contenders open division, and console it's completely reversed. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify. I'm sorry to interrupt again.
So like he had a couple of people that he was casting with color. One of them being our good friend Ocean, that's also here in Esports with him. And I'm like, I want to cast with you. I want to be your casting partner. I want to be the duo with you. He's like, no, I'm going to keep my options open. I'm going to go ahead and and try and cast with as many people as I can. It's like, I want to cast with you. We have the energy. We have the boomer energy going on. And finally, I mean, it ended up being that we started just casting all the time. He mentioned the 100 cast season of multi-tier tournament 7. Literally, we just couldn't get anybody to cast, and we were both in lockdown. And I mean, it got us through the pandemic. I mean, it got us through the lockdown. Like, we kept each other sane. That's where we really built our bond as well and our synergy. We were always talking to each other in a Discord call or text messages on Discord. That's where the synergy for us really built, because we come from a similar place. I was a band nerd. I didn't even want to be a chef. I wanted to be a music teacher, so we had that love as well. So I mean, there's a lot that both of us really have in common. It just ended up being a perfect fit in the end.
And I think a lot of that fit was just a passion to want to get better at it. Was recognizing the craft and how far you really could go and how much we had to learn. And that was exciting. Like learning new skills and growing in this thing was very motivating. I mean, very similar to trying to get better at competing itself. Getting better at casting as a craft was insanely motivating. And to find somebody that had that same passion and was willing to put in that kind of work, like we were riding that train together. And I think that went a long way to creating our synergy and just a pure, genuine love for it. Yeah, I mean, we just had fun doing it. We just had a blast doing it, and I think that came across. I think that's one of our strengths as casters is that passion comes across, and ideally, kind of fires up other people, and creates hype and all those things.
Yeah, you can definitely see that in every single cast that you guys do. It's evident that you guys are just having fun the whole time, and I think that's important.
Good, yeah. I'm glad to hear it. It's good to hear.
So, moving on to the next question. I don't want to keep buttering you up too much, but I have to. I know lots and lots of different casters, and I know a lot of people are heavily inspired by you two as casting as a duo, and individually, both of your work ethics is, like you both said, you casted 100 games in 4 months. It's pretty incredible, comparing to anyone. We've gone over like why did you kind of want to start casting initially over a little bit, but did you guys have any inspirations of casters when you started, and like either retired or still in the scene, and was there ever a point where you thought, actually yeah, I'm getting quite good at this, and I think this might be something I can pursue?
Ooh. One of them was hexagrams, and that wasn't so much from his casting directly, though I do rather enjoy his casting and miss it in 2021. But so I went to the 2019 homestand for Dallas, like the first homestand, and I could go on. Billy's heard me talk about this weekend, just
we bumble
ad nauseum.
Jealous.
Oh yeah,
effing jealous. I should have been there.
But okay, so the first one, April 2019, I'd started casting the pugs I was talking about. That started late 2018. And, I was kind of doing it off and on for that 6-month period. But at that homestand, so everybody's there, right? Like they have the desk there in the arena. I've got a selfie with Zoe, and I talked to all the casters. I was lucky enough to have a friend who worked in the PR office for the Dallas Fuel. So I had a press pass to the event. We end up hanging out with a lot of the talent and talking to a lot of the casters and the people working in production, and that really like lit the fire and turned it into okay, this could be something awesome. And there was a roadblock there where it seemed like miles away from doing tournaments to what I was doing in casting pugs. Talking to Hexagrams, where he was just like, just do it. Like you're already on the right path. And just press forward with that. Keep doing what you're doing, and and you'll find your voice. And that really like just lit a fire. and maybe want to kind of start pursuing things further. And it coincided with getting that tournament. That very first tournament was right there a month after. And so it was like May 2019 was when it really started to kick off. But then it's January 2020, I did my very first VOD review, and it was with Hex. And that was kind of where it stepped up from just doing it as a hobby and for fun. And that VOD review really kicked it into, hey, maybe we are, really onto something and have a lot of potential to drive this thing forward. So it was hexagrams in two different stages throughout 2019 to the very beginning of 2020. As far as just straight style and inspiration from casters, Uber, obviously, like there's just no denying Uber. I really like Jaws. I think Jaws has an amazing style to him and a lot of charisma and a lot of technique, a wonderful ability to drive the story and pull out the technical stuff, but make it really easy to digest and really entertaining. I love his passion and his energy as well. Whereas, it's very clear he's just loving what he's doing and enjoying every second of the game. So I really like Jaws' style. Shout out to Seth as well. Kilios, I think, also has a wonderful style. You don't make it to Owl without being exceptional. Like they're all really good. But with that, I think Jaws is kind of the one I'm really looking up to right now.
Well, that's a very interesting question because I didn't even know that casting was even a thing. When I joined, I was just playing. I got the game in 2017 on Thanksgiving night, and I didn't even play it. I played it that night, and then I didn't come back to it till like February of 2018, and I started really sort of getting into it. Like I said, my casting came about because of necessity. And one of my good friends in CGL, Swiggity, my fellow Quebecois brother, he's like, oh, we should definitely do a cast. And we had a friend named Basic. So I actually got my first cast, and it was nothing but culinary puns. I leaned into being a chef so hard. It was I can't find a recording of it, thank God.
Oh no.
Someone
find it, please. Someone find it.
It's gotta be out there somewhere.
I tell you, we actually tried to do like a hybrid French-English cast for a known Canadian team that had a lot of Quebecois people on it. That was scuffed as all get out. So I was very rough. I actually found my very first VOD very first game that I casted. From where I am now to back then, whoo, rough, like sandpaper rough, like cat's tongue rough, bad. I didn't really figure out that I was any good at this until I started working with Basic and Ocean, and we started talking kind of like we have a little group of us that talk about casting every day. And so that's where that started. And you asked how did we know we finally were getting good. People were starting to recognize us. People were starting to show up in the chat for the CGL. Where's Billy and Bullskunk? People started wanting to see us. People wanted to get to know us. People liked how we were calling the games, how we were making it about the players. And we really, really drove that as part of our early careers is, getting to know these people, getting to know the players behind the gamer tag or the BattleNet tag or, whatever. It was always more about them. And yeah, we have hype moments. Yes, we love calling a 6-man tire where Jeff jumps out of his seat and hits the ceiling and says, what the hell? But it's also, we've really, really dove into getting to know these players, even if it's just for a cycle, like in trials. We're trying to figure out everything we can about these people so we can bring the humanity to the game. And I think that once we got accepted to ELO Hell, I thought that was going to be the pinnacle right there. I thought getting to ELO Hell was like, oh my God, this is as far as I can go. Look at these casters that I'm casting from. How the hell am I going to get as good as them? And Necra, I love her to death. She just said, be you. Find your voice and be you. Be you on the camera. Don't try to emulate anybody else. Just be you. And so, I let the Rainbow Party out, and, my effusive personality, which people seem to like. I thought I was always a bit of a dork, but people like it. So, I mean, I've just leaned into that. That's something that we've been told a lot by the VOD reviews that we've been getting is find your voice, be you. And I have to lean. We have to lean into that even harder now. But you know, we've let people. I mean, for me, I was always a very secretive person, very introverted person. You know, being a chef is crazy. And at home, my private life, I didn't let anybody in. And I think that my casting actually suffered because of that. And being able to open up to the community and let them know who I really am and what I stand for and how I think and what I feel, I think that's really where I think that I've gotten good. That's the honest truth.
That's very fair. Yeah, I think you've like, you can definitely tell you both put yourself across. I know you both fairly well, and I think you both come across exactly how you are on stream. But yeah, it's great to see, and it just seems very, very genuine, and I think that's what brings people back.
Right. It is. It very much is. You know, through mistakes and all. You know.
You got to own them. Own those mistakes. And
exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Can't take them back.
So we've mentioned CGL quite a lot, and I know you both support, and you both grown up in the console community, but you've both supported it a lot, and the development of it. You've both done a lot for casting and casting quality and production in the console community in general. And Billy, I know you're working with Firewall Esports currently.
I am
mentoring, coaching, and developing upcoming talent. And so the next question is, why do you think it's so important to improve and develop grassroots talent and support it coming up? Even if it's through Elo Hell and bringing up and developing talent through Elo Hell or CGL or Firewall. And why do you think it's important that we need to keep doing that?
Something that Big Hungry Phil said to me when I got my first VOD review. He was my first VOD review, and he's like, I'm a play-by-play caster. And I just said, I like your beard, and I like your casting, and I want to learn from somebody that I've actually gravitated towards and listening to him. And for everybody that knows me, I have a thing for beards, so we're just going to throw that out there. I like beards. It's aesthetically pleasing to Billy, and it's something that, I mean, it's just me, okay? I like people who can command a stage, and Phil is one of the best at doing that. Beard aside, you know. But the one thing that he said to me is, you know, because Elo Hell wasn't on the radar at that point. We were just getting together as this, you know, quad duo thing that we have with Airborne and Ocean ourselves and a couple of other casters at that time. And he said, we have to let the ladder down for those below us. You always have to keep trying to bring people up to your level. And that really resonated with me. And so this is, you know, he paid it forward in that moment. This is me paying it forward in my moment. I'm helping actually another a group called Lions Pride Esports. And, you know, kind of doing the same thing there. I just want everybody to have the opportunity that I've had. You know, Swift didn't have to take a chance on me. You know, even with the rough casting that it was back in the day, you know, he gave me tips and pointers, you know, not a lot of it trial and error. But they didn't have to take a chance on me. They didn't have to try and give me the opportunities to grow. And so that's why I'm doing it, is because I want these casters to come up and take my place. You know, God's willing, we get to contenders or higher. You know, I mean, somebody's going to have to take our place. And why can't it be a console caster? Because, I mean, Jeff and I are console casters, and we're breaking through the ceiling right now, and
slowly but surely.
But I mean, slow and steady wins the race. We've always, we're very grounded. I'm the more, we're almost there. Oh, we're almost there. Ah! He's like, no. Like, Billy, chill.
We balance each other out. That
we do. I'm the excitable one.
I try to be the more realistic one as far as expectations and goals. Billy aims very high, and I think we drive each other forward in that regard. So it works out. But just elaborating on what Billy was saying, I think that opportunity is extremely important because it's not like there's any kind of school or training or a way where you can say, "Hey, I want to give this a try." Like it seems very daunting to try to get into the production side of esports, to try to get into esports in general. So I think it's extremely important to provide those avenues. Because I mean, there's absolutely still just phenomenal talent that just need a little bit of practice and a little bit of molding, and it'll be good for everybody. I mean, it's good for the scene across the board, be it console, be it community tournaments, things like Elo Hell does, or up into T2 and Path to Pro. It's good for everybody to have quality, passionate people who can bring these stories forward, especially like as far as console and more community organized things. It's good to give people a voice who wouldn't normally have one, to be able to bring that to the spotlight. There's a lot of extremely talented people, competing at these tournaments that deserve to have their stories told. And it puts a smile on everybody's face. I mean, they enjoy it. It's very relatable, which drives other players to get into competing. If you realize, hey, there's a tournament where Diamond players can go compete. You don't have to be top 500 to go enjoy a good competition. And then being able to tell those stories, it elevates everybody. It elevates the entire scene. And any of the above could grow and become, the next superstar. Be it in front of the camera or on the stage. And even if they don't, it's something that just increases the joy and something that we already love to do, which is just playing games and hanging out with people that are like-minded in that regard, enjoying, mostly Overwatch, but that it's not limited to Overwatch, clearly. So that opportunity was a perfect word to encompass all that. And I think it's extremely integral into us keeping this going and esports continuing to grow and becoming a better thing, becoming a better place to thrive.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. And I think what stops a lot of people from entering either casting or production observing is it looks daunting, right? You see
Right.
Overwatch League, you see contenders, you see other top tier of esports, but you don't see the local tournaments, you don't see the plat gold
Right.
tournaments as often, but they are there. All you need to do is reach out and make that first contact. And people like you guys are there to support. And honestly, the learning you can do, and it's not too difficult. And you just need to make that first step.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
agreed.
that first step's the hardest, for sure.
I want to move on to what do you guys think distinguishes a good caster from an absolutely great one, like a top tier.
Ooh, that is a $1 million question. If I knew the exact answer to that, I would be a top tier caster. I'd be in Overwatch League. No, I would say it comes down to storytelling. Storytelling is such a big part of it. Being able to pick out what is truly the most important and compelling aspect of whatever event you're casting, and bring that to the audience in a relatable and entertaining way. We're your storytellers at the end of the day. And I think that is the most succinct answer I can give to that. There's a lot of other things that are going to go into that. I mean, knowledge of the game and your vocabulary and being able to. I mean, there's various ways, I guess, that you can do that, and a lot of different, I'd say, sub skills that can elevate it. But at the end of the day, it's all about telling a compelling story and drawing people in. And that's what makes you cheer for the underdog and have favorite players and have somebody you can relate to, or I mean, even if it's just the way they play a certain hero. But I think it all comes back down to that.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. I mean, being able to drive the narrative and keep coming back to it, I think really distinguishes a good caster from a great caster is how do you interweave the moments and finding the pulse of the match. Thank you, LaFon, for that beautiful gem. Finding the pulse of the match and then being able to go back out and tell the story of the entire match and then zoom back in and zoom back out. I think it's the ability to rubber band back and forth and just weave this tapestry of the match with your hype moments as well. You can't just be a shout caster and just shout the whole time. I think being able to feel and convey your true emotions, which you will hear me do. I think it's something I do very well. You'll hear me squeak and ooh and ah in the background while he's calling out, a massive play, or I'll see somebody flanking and the other team doesn't see it, and I'll go sneaky, sneaky, stuff like that. I'm truly enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm truly living in the moment of the match. And I think that if you can convey that to the audience that's watching, I think you're a great caster.
Have you guys ever had to tell? You ever been in a situation where there's been really no story and you found it really, really difficult to build that or find that pulse and build that storyline for the audience? What do you do then?
And this kind of relates to the question Mears posed in chat a little bit earlier about how hard is it to build that story. I mean, that varies drastically from cast to cast, and sometimes you're just focusing on an improvement. I mean, or if you have a team that's just absolutely getting rolled, your story can then become, can they adjust? Can they win this fight? It can be very minor things, and then your story is you're starting to see them. You're starting to see that seed just sprout just a little bit. Like this can turn into something awesome. And yeah, it may look like they're getting rolled, but look at this change that just happened. And then you focus the narrative on they're growing. Like we're witnessing them just coming into their own, even though, yeah, sure, they may have lost this series, but there could be great things to come. Here's the potential. Like there's always a story there. It's just a matter of how to find it. And maybe the story is simply teams are just having fun. That's neither team is really going 100. This happens in like charity tournaments or things where it's maybe a show match. Teams are just having fun, and you get to see another side of them. You get to see a lighthearted side, or even that in of itself can be a story. And as long as you're shining light on the personalities and really trying to zoom in on the players themselves, you'll find that narrative. It's there. You just gotta look hard enough. Sometimes it's easy, right? Some storylines are big and bold, and it's New Kings versus BH, and it's there's history and all those things. But especially in like one-off community tournaments like that, the narratives are still there. You just kind of have to keep your eyes open for them.
I mean, there's a famous quote from CGL, where it was a Masters level weekly game, and one team was just not playing up to the expectations that we had, and I said, "Gosh, they are playing like a bunch of bronzes right now." And the community just absolutely lost their brains over that. And it was all over Twitter. They were guffawing and LOLing and rolling. And, you could. It was called by singular chaotic evil moment of Billy's casting career.
It was definitely your most chaotic evil moment. And there were a lot of Omega lulls.
Oh, man. Sure. But, for me, if something's not working right and they're getting absolutely rolled, I'm always trying to theory craft and say it over the cast. What can they do to get better? What can they do to change their circumstances around? What can they do to turn the tides of the series around? That's something that I lean into, because maybe somebody's listening out there. And maybe somebody's, there's usually a delay on, but, they can relay the message however many minutes later. Maybe it'll help them out. Because I want to see teams do good. That's my biggest thing is I want the teams to play to the best of their ability. That's what I expect to see every time. Even if they're having fun, in a one-off tournament, I still want to see them play well. So that's my big thing is that if it's something that's just an absolute stomp, I try to be educational with it. I try to theory craft. That's how I get through it. I've only had that one comment so far. I cannot guarantee that it will not happen again, but it hasn't happened in over a year and a half. So we're
That was a
days,
particularly chaotic, evil moment for you, Billy.
500 days without an incident.
Well,
And sometimes it's the charity itself. Sometimes it's the reason everybody's there. That it's pulling everybody together, or the tournament organizer. I mean, there's something worth highlighting in there for sure. You just have to look for it as far as story goes, and sometimes it is just improvement.
Yep.
yeah, so you just have to dig a bit deeper sometimes.
So, yeah, sometimes exactly. Sometimes you gotta dig a little deeper than others. It's not easily apparent.
When you're casting Fuel versus Outlaws, I mean, it doesn't have to be that deep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. You've got 4 years of history built in. Even more than that, really, just because Houston-Dallas is kind of a natural rivalry anyway. So,
Truth.
Talking about Houston-Dallas, the work you did for the Outlaws, guys, that's pretty incredible stuff.
it was.
It was a really big opportunity for you guys, but I just want to say that you smashed it. I've watched it back, and you did a really good job.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It was a fun event. The Houston Outlaws hired us to cover a community match between the two fan clubs of the organizations, and then we did a collegiate match between a Dallas college and a Houston college. So, I mean, it was an awesome opportunity just because we were brought in directly by the Outlaws organization themselves. And, it was like tweeted out by Owl, and it was an amazing. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was an amazing time. It was an amazing time.
Yeah. So it leads me on to what's been your biggest achievement so far, either in esports as a whole or just as a caster?
Biggest achievement. Ooh, that's a tough one because it's relative, right? Mm-hmm. It's relative to where you are currently. I know one of the biggest landmarks for me was when I first got trials. That it happened a lot quicker than I expected it to. And it seemed it almost caught me off guard. And that was an absolute landmark moment of, holy cow, like, you're starting to cast some real Overwatch players, like, get your act together. And then I guess one step from that would be casting teams like New Kings and Fusion University most recently, where I'm casting players that I've been cheering on, or that I've seen in OWL before, or that end up in OWL. Getting to interview Muse was one of my favorite casting moments. Muse, now currently main tank for the Gladiators, played in NA Contenders for a small stint on a team called 200 MS, because they were all in Korea and all playing on ping. But we had the incredible opportunity of getting to cast them and getting to interview Muse. And I remember thinking at the time what an amazing experience that was. Incredibly nice guy. Like, very soft-spoken. It was super nice. And it was that was definitely one of my favorite moments of my career so far. And then now, looking back on it, I went to the most recent homestand that was here in Dallas over the weekend, and a buddy of mine was in town, and we were watching Gladiators play. They're playing Atlanta. And I was like, I've cast a guy from each of these teams, like, hey man, check it out. I've actually gotten to cast that guy myself. Like, it's a point of pride, and it still makes me kind of giddy.
For me, I guess the peak thing that I think Kanazaka, the 4v4 flash ops. Getting to do that with Big Hungry Phil, my first actual Blizzard production, that was pretty stellar. I was shocked that I got it, honestly, and I made the best of it. I got to interview LH Cloudy. I got to interview Sana, who is one of my favorite players for Shoes Money Crew EU. I mean, I had followed them when they were Sana. They were Sana, then now they're Solar. But that was probably the pinnacle. But I mean, I have to agree. The interview with Muse, with his manager Saitans, he was trying so hard to speak English because that he had been working on it, and he was trying so hard, and he answered as best he could. And I said a couple of words in Korean to him, and he got very excited. But yeah, I think that's one of the most genuine moments I think throughout my casting career that I've had. Other than the
I mean,
extra life
saying,
charity.
I was just gonna say, saying Kamsamida at the end, Muse just got so excited.
Yeah.
He was like truly very honored about that. Anyway, yeah, that was such a cool interview. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I let it in with Annyeonghaseyo. Yeah. So
We
and
tried. We
yeah,
tried.
we really tried. The other one was when we raised $1,000 for Extra Life Charity.
Yeah.
In a 3-hour cast or a 2-hour cast. It was
Right
a
in
middle of
between.
yeah. It was a 4-map set, and we raised $1,000. He shaved his head on stream, and I
I
mean,
remember.
that
I think
was
that was
one of
the
the.
first real charity we did.
We love charity. That's
Yeah.
something we really.
Well,
I find myself. It's so good.
Let me interject, just because I just want to say that I think it's really important for those of us who do have reach. I mean, I consider my reach pretty limited, right? But it's enough that's how I think it's extremely important to give back, and that's how I like to give back to the community and try to better the world around me. And try to use whatever skills I have developed doing this and be in front of the camera and telling stories to try to use that to raise awareness and to raise funds for, kids with cancer or people with cancer or whatever. We recently did one for BAME one that was for a Trans Lifeline organization. I mean, whatever the cause may be, there's a lot of hardworking people there working their butts off just for the betterment of those around them. And so I think it's extremely important for us to use what presence we have to try to raise awareness and raise funds for them. And we have a blast doing it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. I think it's a vital part of being a caster.
Yep.
It's great
like I said, I'm not a rich man. That's how we give back, right? Like I'd give $1,000 myself if I had the money, but I don't. So I'll do what I can to raise it.
It's good to hear, and it's good to hear that you will keep doing those sort of things in the future as well. Like going forward,
Oh yeah.
It does make a big difference.
I don't care how big I get. Like I will always be down to do charity events. Like that's I think it's extremely, extremely important. I can't emphasize that enough.
It's so rewarding too.
It is.
I get hyped just putting out a $5 donation is the same as a $200 donation. It's the fact that people are willing to watch us, as homely as we are, and do our thing, and they're willing to donate. And I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. It fills my heart. I am the emotional one, like you said. I cry a lot during these charity streams because my heart overflows, and you'll hear me wobble my voice a little bit, or. But yeah, I mean, all the charities that we've done, they're all equal level. It's just a way for us to give back. That's all it is.
Sorry if we hijacked your questions there, Myth. We kind of.
I mean,
we'll go off the rails a little bit if you let us. Sorry.
That was worth it. That was worth it.
Fair.
So we'll move on from charity. I got a bit of a lighter question coming up next. So I've personally had some very, very long days behind the screen and away from the camera, working on productions. What's the longest time you've ever had to cast during for one day, and how did it feel afterwards, and how sore was your voice?
Oh man. It was probably I believe I did back-to-back trials. I know I've done back-to-back trials. I think on one occasion. That was probably the longest day, where it was doing EU trials and then straight into doing NA trials. I don't remember the exact number of hours. I want to say it was 4 first of 3 series back-to-back. And I was absolutely spent and exhausted by the end of it. I think I've done like trials into Get Good as well. But just because you'd be amazed at how much energy you pour into a broadcast. And so it wasn't even so much my throat being sore. It was like my brain was short circuiting and I was just like out of energy. Like the gas light was on and had been on for a few miles. Like that dial was all the way down. It is one of those things where you just like sleep the whole next day to try to recharge, and so it was more the feeling of exhaustion. But that's worth it. Like this is the epitome. This whole industry is the epitome of you get out what you put in. So 100% worth it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Longest day of production would have to be Open Division with the 4 a.m. call into Get Good into CGL. I think I casted for like 15 hours, 16 hours with maybe like an hour break here and there.
Yeah, and I agree with what Zathon's saying in chat. I don't really recommend that. Just as it's important to stay healthy and find balance. Like we're not advocating that you should be casting 16 hours a day all the time. No. By no means.
It happens though. It does. But you can definitely tell like towards like the back end, you definitely take a hit in terms of like everything, equality, and like you're saying, your brain just stops working after a certain point.
It really does.
It does.
Mine
is like 3 maps.
Like, all right, I've hit my max. I feel that. Then you just start making dumb puns, It goes off the rails quickly.
Yeah, but everyone loves that.
Very quickly.
So what is like? We've gone over this a bit, but if we talk about sort of in-game and like during productions, what are some of the best moments you've had casting together? Either like watching great players or like funny banter, or either of you like making really, really good calls and you think, wow, yeah, this is amazing. Does anything like come out and highlight? Is there any like highlights that you can point out?
That's tough. Well, we've just gotten to the point where we've done so many. There's definitely like strong broadcasts. We had one, I think the middle day we cast in the last trials, like we cast 3 sets. Like the middle day just came out feeling strong, and it's that feeling of improvement. And so, I'm sure if I think about it, there should be some hype moments. We kind of talked a little bit about one that was way back in the console scene, where somebody backcapped from the archway of Point B Rialto all the way back. So it wasn't even around the corner yet. And a tracer dropped in and just stole the whole cart all the way back. Like that was a heck of a moment. It was kind of silly, but kind of hype at the same time. That kind of stuff doesn't really happen as you start getting into trials and people are paying attention a little bit more. Casting funny how in general was a huge moment. Like that whole thing was just hype.
It's funny those sort of backups are the things you remember.
Yeah.
Hanamura with Oni God was one of our favorite because he just went off. And I don't think Jeff could have contained himself much more than he did, because he was darn near squeaking for Jeff. He was he was just giddy like a schoolgirl. And it was just like candy. He was just getting, every headshot was just another piece of candy. And he was just popping it in and out. And I was calling it as best I could. And I just finally shut up and let him go.
Casting Oni popping off was that was a highlight for sure. For sure. Funniest. Oh man. Like that one's actually tough. When we definitely have fun. I don't know that there's a specific like funniest moment. Does anything come to mind for you, Billy?
There's one where you called somebody a really bad name.
Oh yeah,
because the two names mixed into one, and I lost it. I couldn't breathe for like a minute and a half. It was in CGL, and there was 2 names that were very close together. He combined them into an expletive. And
I'll let y'all know. I don't care. It's embarrassing, but I don't really care. Let's just say that the main tank player was Mimjob, and the off-tank player was Raged, and I combined them in the worst possible way, in the most embarrassing flub I've ever had on broadcast. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Like, I'll definitely it was funny.
I couldn't breathe. Because because I at certain times, especially if we're in the middle of like a really serious broadcast, like it was a pretty serious. I think it was a playoff game,
Right.
and he did this, and he went rim job, and I went.
And I just skate right over it, right? Like I just skate right over it, like, oh, we're not touching that. I'm just moving forward.
No analysis for at least.
Hope no one
90 seconds,
listens.
because
Hope no one heard you.
I had to mute my mic.
Yeah, I just hope that they weren't like, yeah, I'm sure somebody went like, wait, what did he say? But like, I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't like. I tried to just continue to muscle through. Billy is losing his over there, and yeah, that was pretty funny. That was definitely pretty funny.
That was one of the funniest
great.
moments ever. I know that I have said the F word, and it just completely slipped out. And Jeff is a consummate professional. He just skates right over it, and I'm sitting over here like face turning as red as his shirt. Because I'm trying to combine so many things like into a flux, and that is the worst one. If I'm trying to go fast and trying to throw it off to him, I will say a gravitic F, and
I was gonna say it wasn't meant as an adjective or anything. Like it was just genuinely a slip up on gravitic flux. Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
So we have no
unfortunately,
Fs again.
I've never actually cursed on broadcast. I've gotten close, but I've never actually cursed on broadcast.
One day.
That was embarrassing.
One day.
Well, yeah, you know, we got things to aspire to, you know.
Maybe today's the day, Bullskunk.
Well, I mean, we've purposely done some. You know, we casted somebody named Sheet, 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 and I came out and went, "Holy sheet!" at one point during the broadcast. Like we've skirted around it, or you know, they just got fluxed up. That one's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I hope that Blizzard knew what they were doing when they brought that ability into the game.
I actually had this conversation with Hex because the casters went to Blizzard and was like, you've got to like reduce, you can't come out like they came out with it's immortality field, gravitic flux, kinetic grasp, like all of these like 4-syllable massive descriptions. It's like you've got to simplify this, you know, like you can't keep doing this to us. Like the tier 1 casters literally went to Blizzard with the complaint of the way they named particularly Sigma's kit. Yep. Which I thought was fascinating.
That's funny. Okay. So this is more of a question focused to Billy. Bullskunk, I know that. Well, I think that you haven't worked a LAN yet, right?
I have not. No, that's still. That's like the next big thing that I'm trying to put together. That's my next big goal. Honestly, I cannot wait for that live energy. But Billy, yes, Billy has.
Yeah, I know you have done like a week ago. So my question is,
all right. While you're asking this, I'm gonna take a quick bio. Please forgive me, but while you're talking to him, I'll be right back.
Of course. I know you can go on about the LAN for a long time, but how does working a LAN event differ from working an event online?
First of all, human interaction. I know I've talked about it a lot, but I'm a very big person. I am 6'6" and 310 pounds, or 1.98 m for the metric people, and about 130, 140 kilograms. So I am a big, giant person. And I, you know, like a lot of people, I command a room. I mean, that's what I do as a caster. I try to command a room. Being able to see the players play in front of me and being able to see the fans getting excited as they go up for, you know, this was a Rocket League LAN that I did. See them going up for an aerial and doing an air dribble and trying to dunk down. You can see them sitting on the edge of their seats. Their eyes are getting all wide. They're like, oh, yeah. You can hear them in the background and you can feel it. And it's just like a tangible wave of just positive, psychotic gamer energy coming at you, and you harness it in and then you put it out through your voice. I mean, I was jumping up and down. I was dancing back and forth. I had 3 different color casters that day because I was actually a play-by-play caster that day. And, you know, seeing and hearing the players laugh at each other when they, you know, juke somebody out or broke somebody's ankles. Man, it's something that, you know, I can't wait to do for Overwatch. on a big stage or a medium stage. Either is fine with me. But I mean, I'm like a junkie now. I got to have it again because it was so rewarding. And having the players come up afterwards and fist bump you and say, "Damn, that was a great cast. You're really good at this." That was something that really validated me even more. Is them coming up and like, do you have a what's your socials? So and getting recognized by some of the local talent in Kansas City, which is a city 3 hours away from me. By the way, yes, I do give very great Papa Bear hugs. Though my nickname, just
That was
so
my next
everybody
question,
knows,
by the way.
my nickname is Mama Bear. Actually, I've been referred to as Mama Bear because I cook, I clean, I do laundry, I keep the house up. I'm a domesticated moose, as my husband calls me. I've always been this way, partially out of necessity, growing up with my mom being a chef and my dad being in the Army, and my sister being a lazy blonde. I had to learn how to fend for myself. So I've always gravitated towards the housekeeping side of things in a family unit. So yeah, my nickname is Mama Bear or Moose. That's what my kids call me. They call me Moose, or Mama Bear. So yeah. Zathon, where Moose comes from, actually came from the kitchens. Because once again, am a very large white dude. And when I came back from France, I had regained my French accent. When they found out I was Canadian, I became the southern, northern great white moose. And yeah, so Moose has stuck ever since. Some of my online monikers is Chef Moose. That's what my alt is. I'm just the Moose.
Love to hear it.
That's that.
Yeah, and with Lands, I think you can just tell, like, watching the Fuel Outlaws game, and you just hearing the crowd behind the game and how hyped that was just watching, and casting it must just be completely different and such a great experience. And I can't wait to come and watch you two cast a LAN. One day.
I'm so looking forward to it. I will say, onto the size difference, I'm all of like 5'10" and a $145 soaking wet. So it's going to be quite the contrast if you ever get us on the same stage together. I will definitely need a step ladder or a pile of boxes to at least get us in the same camera frame, because
Billy can kneel down.
That's painful.
And still be taller.
And still be taller, no doubt. No doubt.
All right.
Negative 10 points to Zathon, by the way, for the horrible pun there. Negative 10 to you.
I like it. I like it.
That's what we're here for.
But yeah, the energy, I can't wait. The energy of guy. Oh, yes.
I mean,
Jeff is my dream right
Jeff
now.
actually sent me a message saying, "I'm thinking of you right now." I'm like, it's so fun.
Yeah, when you were doing your land thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, man, I hope he's killing it. I hope he's having the time of his life. Yeah, damn right I was thinking about
it.
you,
Was
man.
so good. It was so good. Yeah, I want more. Yeah.
Hopefully soon. Okay, so moving on to the final of the kind of serious questions. What advice would you give to people wanting to start out casting esports, or who are just about to start, or who are just starting out? And are there any prerequisites in going in?
That's an interesting question. That's a multifaceted question.
It is.
Because I could kind of interpret that as how to break through and how to get started and get your feet wet in it, or the technical aspect of casting. What beginner mistakes to avoid when casting. So I'll kind of do this in both parts. As far as part A, just do it. Like, straight up, just do it. There's I don't know. I see those the William Painter sunglasses commercials all the time, like on YouTube and whatnot. And they come in with that quote with, "The only way to do a thing is to do it." I love that quote. And that is perfect for getting into production in general. And there's community tournaments going on, whatever console or platform you might use, and it's one of the reasons that doing, traditional console stuff, or whatever I'm trying to say, doing console stuff is so important, because to let others know those avenues do exist, and just getting into it. I mean, Pugs. I mean, like I said, Elo Ho Pugs was literally the first thing I ever cast, and it was purely just for the joy of doing it. But so as far as breaking through, because that is the most daunting part, is getting started. That is the hardest part, is just getting started. And once you do that, the rest starts to fall into place. As far as advice to early casters on beginner mistakes to avoid or prerequisites going in, I would say no. There's not any like set prereq. There's no real steps that you need to go through. In that infamous talk with Hex back in April 2019, I asked, did you think it'd be worthy going and trying to get a degree or study at a university for broadcasting or something? And he was like, well, my only answer to that is nobody casting Overwatch League has gone to school for it. And that was very eye-opening to me, where it doesn't have that level of, like, you don't need a piece of paper that certifies you that you're a caster before you can hop on a microphone. Like, just hop on a mic and do it, and find your voice. And because putting in the reps and the practice is really what's going to get you there. It reminds me a lot of playing a musical instrument. I made that analogy earlier, but like, you don't need a prerequisite to start playing piano, right? Like, you don't have to have a piece of paper or a degree to sit down at a piano and start playing. It's just a matter of getting over the initial hump and getting into the rhythm, and it's going to feel just as clunky. When you first start casting, it's going to feel like you just picked up a violin for the first time, and you're like, what do I do with this thing? Like, it feels equally as clunky. But you make strides very quickly. You learn the basic notes, and that gets you a large step of the way there right out of the gate. And some of the basic notes of casting are just timing. Timing is a very important one, particularly in Overwatch, to get a nice flow back and forth and know where your timing lies. Identifying whether you want to do play-by-play or color. That's something that is extremely important for beginning casters, and I recommend doing both when you start. And just kind of figuring out which one suits your voice, what you enjoy more, what style you enjoy more. And then I'd say from there, starting to get into getting past just reading the kill feed or reading off what ultimates are available in the case of Overwatch. Like, getting into where you're starting to really tell stories. So, and it'd probably be not necessarily in that order. Find whether you're a play-by-play or a color first, then start figuring out timing, then start figuring out how to get past just the listing of what you're seeing on screen and start to really interpret it into a narrative.
I guess for me, I'll answer it the same way. If you're wanting to get into casting, just do it. Find your opportunity, just like Jeff said. I did mine out of necessity for our scene. So just get out there and do it. Go watch a replay of an owl match or a contenders match. Turn the volume all the way down. Mute it and cast.
Yeah, it's
and
great
see
practice.
if you like it. My second part of advice is to go watch your favorite caster, whatever role they are in, and go devour their work. For me, it was Semler. Semler was somebody that really shaped who I am as a caster.
There it is.
Did have that. Yep. He had that stinger ability to land a phrase with not necessarily the vocal oomph behind it, but with the intention behind it that really made me want to be like him. And I've actually got it in one of his streams and told him my story, and he was very touched by it. So, also don't be afraid to reach out to your idols and let them know that, hey, I'm trying to pattern myself after you. Shoot your shot. That's what I did. I shot my shot with Big Hungry Phil. I filled out that Elo Hell application. I applied to the stream team for CGL. It's all a matter of you shooting your shot and having the confidence in yourself to go after what you want. And that's what Jeff and I do every single day. As we shoot our shots, we do the best we can. We work our craft. and practice, and don't be afraid of failure, because I've had, there's something very funny that we haven't even really hit on, is that Jeff and I were separated when we first came to Elo Hell. He was farther along in development. There was more ability.
Trials.
Yeah, it took me longer to get there. So I didn't give up though. And
right.
throughout it, I had other opportunities that he didn't have. I got to do the EBC, which he wasn't involved with until later. That's where I think I found my best, when I found who I was as a caster, was in the EBC. So you have to shoot your shot. You have to take the opportunities in front of you, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there and say, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to fail. And that's really how I've gotten where I've gotten.
And again, back to the musical instrument analogy, it's going to feel clunky at first. It's going to sound clunky at first. Like, that's just to be expected.
Yep.
You're not going to come out of the gate and be uber. Like, it's easy to underestimate how much it takes to get there. I've heard like the 4 steps of learning something. The first one is you're just all optimism and, oh, I can do this. Like, it's easy. I'm just going to get on the mic and talk about the game. I know the game. I've watched Overwatch for years. I've played Overwatch for years. And then the second stage, and this applies to learning anything. Second stage of learning anything is you realize, oh, wow, like, there is so much to this. It is so daunting. There's no way I'll ever get on top of this. And you often get stuck in that stage. Second stage of learning is when you realize how much you don't know. And that's the hardest one to get past. And then you start to get into a level of competency. And that's the third stage, where you finally start really grasping whatever the fundamentals are of the skill you're trying to learn. And then finally you have mastery, and where you're innovating and you're really making it your own. And it is so true of casting, just as it is of anything else. Now, I'd like to elaborate on the question from Lions Pride Esports in our chat here. So we've given a lot of advice for up-and-coming casters. I think, and particularly console communities, I mean, it applies. There's no difference there. Networking. Like, don't be afraid to expand your reach, to look for other opportunities past your own tournament set or your own community event. This is how we got involved with Elo Hell, which gave Billy and I our first chance at doing PC side of things and gave us new experiences there, which were incredibly valuable for us to continuing to move forward and grow as casters in the esports sphere. But more importantly than that, I think this is a good one, is things to avoid. I would say being negative or being memey. You don't want to be a clown. Like, you're there to tell a story. You're not a dancing bear. Like, there's a big difference. And I've seen casters fall into this trap of wanting to almost overcompensate to be entertaining. You don't have to have puns and jokes for everything that happens. Like, there is still a competitive game going on. I mean, you would never, it comes across as disingenuous. It comes across as you're almost poking fun at it, and not in a good way, right? Mm-hmm. It's so try to avoid that aspect. Don't overcompensate, feeling like you have to be entertaining by turning yourself into a clown. The other side of that is not being too negative. I've seen early casters fall into this trap as well, where you feel like to prove your authority, you have to be hypercritical of things you're seeing on screen, particularly in a lot of console matches. People are in gold, plat, diamond tiers, and it's not going to be as organized or as clean as you're used to seeing in T2 and above. But it's try to focus on the positives. Now, not to say that's offering good analysis is going to involve some level of criticism, but it should be done in a positive light. So I would say avoid ever being too hypercritical or too negative on what you're seeing on screen. It can be a part of a style, like that's not 100% absolute, but it creates a negative experience for those watching. And so you are in control of the pace, of the mood of that broadcast. And if it's only negative, that vibe is going to translate and transmit to your viewers to where they just have this negative kind of energy going with the whole thing. So I would say avoid that as, I mean, pretty much at all costs. Like, and there's a difference between proper analysis and being overly negative, but I've seen casters fall into that trap before. So just something to be aware
of. My advice for an up and coming Overwatch community: don't put the cart before the horse. Go slow. Make sure that you have a social presence on Twitter. Make sure that you have an organization team in place. Make sure that you have standard operation procedures in place. Make sure that you have all the background stuff done, ready to go, done and dusted, and set in stone, so that when somebody comes up against you in, say, a rules observation, or you ban somebody because they broke one of your terms of conduct, you have something to fall back on that's airtight. It's irrefutable, and you are covered by that.
that is getting into a little bit more of the TO side of things, but you're 100% on point.
No gray areas I think is important.
Yeah, no gray areas whatsoever. Make sure that you are recognizing the scope of what you want to do, as well as far as your community. What are you trying to achieve? If you're trying to rival the CGL, you've got a ways to grow. You need to get your building blocks in place first, because CGL did not start off as a 10,000 member community. It started off as a couple hundred people and slowly grew its way up. I remember when there's less than 2,000 people in it. And it was a very intimate scene, and then things just started to get bigger and better because of the organization and because of that irrefutable book of code of conduct and player handbook that was in place, and they just referred to it. Every time something went down, they just referred back to their player handbook, their standard operating procedures. It'll go from a small organization to a giant organization. As long as you are consistent and fair, and you have a clear delineation of what you want to do for your community, I think you will be very successful. So I think getting your back end stuff done first is the most important thing that you can do to set yourself up for success moving forward as a community. And then moving forward, because I know where you guys are trying to go. So, I think you guys are doing it the right way. Just make sure that you're giving yourselves regular checkups as far as the progress of where you're wanting to go as well. Don't just assume that everything is going according to plan. Make sure you check in with the members of your team. See if there's any advice you got. You guys can reach out to me. And I know you guys pinged me earlier and you apologize for it. That's fine. But make sure that you're checking in regularly with your team. And I think that if you do that, you guys will be on the right road to where you want to go.
And I'd say, even zooming out from that a little bit, a lot of those things apply to personally as casters. Like, set that ego aside. Like, it's really not a competition. I mean, yes, there's, as you get further and further up, there's fewer and fewer top end opportunities, and it can feel very competitive. But a high tide raises all ships, and having fellow casters and building that network and having people to talk to has been just huge in allowing me to grow and those around me. I mean, that's, we talk about, we have a group DM that's, me and Billy and a couple other casting friends, and we can just talk about things. We can talk about meta. We can talk about our last performance. We can give VOD reviews to each other. You can kind of figure out, hey, where are we at in our casting career? What do you think of this? Having that support system is huge. So I would say, keep in mind that everybody casting around you, everybody in production around you, you're all peers. You're all striving for the same thing, and to build each other up and to get to know each other, to pull out each other's strengths and really set the egos aside. Because everybody will grow and everybody will benefit.
Yep.
Something I'd like to say on growing a community and growing it the right way is ensure when you are ready to grow, have the right staff and have the right people come on board in official roles. It's really, really important.
I'd also say don't be afraid to reach out to those who are where you want to be, and ask for advice, ask for VOD reviews. I mean, VOD reviews are extremely important and have propelled me to where I am. Still a long ways to go, and I'm keenly aware of that, thanks to VOD reviews as well. And I'm working to get there every day, every recast. But having VOD reviews from people who are in the positions you want to be is so helpful. And don't be afraid to reach out to people that may seem intimidating. To reach out to a contenders caster or even an owl level caster. But the vast majority of them, I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I don't want to speak for everybody, but everybody I've talked to and reached out to have been more than happy to help me review my work and to grow as a caster. And it's the level of advice has been insane. I would never have gotten there without it.
I know Uber has reached out to me and given me support when I needed it, and that was just out of the blue. Yeah, and it happens left, right, and center. You just need to be open yourself up to it, I guess.
And VOD review yourself as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be moving on to something a bit less intense and something very fun, right?
All right, let's go.
So we got some quick fire questions, chat. Are we ready?
Lord.
Let's go.
All right, our first one. Who's gonna win in a fight? Or which one would you rather face? 10 bull-sized skunks? No, 10 skunk-sized bulls, or 1 bull-sized skunk? And if you need a reference, guys, open up the stream.
Oh man, that's fantastic. I would have to go with I would rather fight the one bull-sized skunk. Although those claws are terrifying.
It's gonna stink.
Can you imagine those? Can you imagine the spray from that?
But can you imagine all the little horns in your shins from trying to fight 10 of these hard-headed little guys? Like that would be like walking through a razor wire. Like no, I would rather take the risk of being able to befriend the giant skunk than to try to have to deal with the 10 of these would be like hard-headed cat-sized things with horns.
I'm going for the pet.
You just put a clothespin over your nose. You're fine. You're fine.
I'm going with the 10 skunk-sized bulls because dinner.
Trying to punt them away.
Yeah, but you can get a close peg bull skunk, but your friends and family can't. So think about that. You're gonna be stinking for years to come after that.
Right.
It's true. It's true.
It's like Chewie opened the bag of cheese puffs in Over the Hedge. No. It's a skunk plume.
Oh, all right, guys. Going on to the next one. What has been your absolute favorite comp in Overwatch history? Maybe both to play and to cast.
I like Double Bubble a lot, actually. I like Double Bubble a lot.
That's a good one.
Yeah. On both sides, both to play and to cast. I play a lot of tank. I can really play anything, not necessarily to a high level, but I mean, I've been playing since beta, so I can play any role, at least be somewhat competent. But playing Winston is one of my favorite heroes to play, and you get to be so aggressive with it and just kind of full frontal assault with Double Bubble, but still playing Winston. Yeah, so I enjoy it, and it's unique. I mean, we kind of spent a lot of time with what we thought we knew a composition was in Overwatch, and then Double Bubble came along. We're like, wait a minute, what? Wait, that actually works? So it was one of those things from an analytical standpoint, from a casting standpoint. It kind of broke the brain a little bit in the best possible way. So yeah, I'll go with Double Bubble. Dive would be a close second because it's Dive. It's fast paced. It's fun. It's classic.
I mean, me being the donkey horse main that I am, I love Double Shield.
Oh, no.
I did. I loved it.
Get out of
here.
I
love seeing it. No. You invited me here, dang it. No, playing wise though, because I'm really good with Harissa. I'm really good with tracking. I'm really good at getting multiple person halts. Casting though, I think double bubble is just it's so dynamic, and there's
Yeah.
so many. Just from looking at the macro of every moving part into it is looking into is the Ana going to land the nano at the proper time? That or is the Brigitte going to be able to whip shot the incoming monkey back down to the earth? So I mean, there's so many moving parts in it. It keeps my ADHD brain on full alert, and it really does keep me engaged. And I saw Lion Pride Esports' comment about being ADHD. I use it to my advantage when I cast. I have so many different things going on that it stimulates my brain a lot further, and I can actually stay more in tune with the focus. Casting goats made me snooze, and goats is not the best composition of all time, and you can take that Billy goat off the screen. Yeah,
I love casting goats.
I
love
hated
casting
casting
goats.
I love playing goats, but I don't like it at casting.
See, I like casting goats. I like to play. I had a hard time getting my friends to play goats. They just didn't believe me that not having DPS was actually strong. Like they just didn't believe me. I'm like, no, seriously, we gotta try it. Y'all, nobody ever dies. It's fantastic. I was trying to play for the game. Goats taught everybody how to really make the most of teamwork and synergy. Like I think Goats was integral into the development of the player base of Overwatch. I understand it went on for too long. Now I will give, of course, you can't deny it went on for too long, and I think that's why it kind of became a dull viewing experience. But just as far as if we had a set like 1 month of each, like I thought Goats was actually a lot of fun to cast, and I've cast Goats tournaments since the 2-2-2 rollback has become into play. And it's just the level of teamwork. Like you get this nice level of macro and overlapping and synergy that I really enjoy.
Nice. Okay, I got the next one coming up. If there's any favorite, like we've talked about it before, but if you have a favorite meal after a long broadcast, so maybe like a really deep comfort food, what would it be?
Oh, honestly, a pizza.
Pizza. Nice.
There's something about just like ordering a pizza when I'm done. Like it's easy. Like, and it takes me a little while to wind down. I'm usually just hyped up. So like for like 45 minutes, it just takes there's like a winding down period, and that's usually right when food gets there. And it's just kind of greasy and awesome. And then I'm typically ready for bed. Like then I have zero energy and I'm done. So there's something. It's just kind of almost ritualistic. You can call me an uncultured swine if you want, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it simple and just go with a straight up pizza after a cast just hits the spot.
Every time that we have gotten done with the cast, I'm like, "What you gonna do?" I'm gonna eat pizza, or he's got pizza coming.
Yeah,
either he's making it or he's got pizza on the way. Me, it depends on what's in my pantry. Honestly, if I have like rice that I've had from another meal, I will go make myself a quick egg fried rice. Because it's fast. I've got the spices and the oils and soy sauce and everything to go really fast there. I see you put my chicken katsu on the stream there. It does look quite good, doesn't it? But yeah, I try to do something like really fast. If it's not fried rice, then I'm a big proponent of eating mozzarella cheese balls and olives. I love that. It's totally a Mediterranean thing. It's totally something I got it hooked on it in France. It's just little fresh mozzarella balls and then olives. You just pop them in your mouth.
They're good.
I don't know about all that. I don't know.
We got that over here. We got that over here. It's nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice, Jeff.
all right. I have to take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. I'm not an olive person myself. I don't like olives.
Lovely nosh.
I don't like olives.
Okay. Next, Billy. This is gonna be a quick one. When's your cookbook coming out?
It is almost done. It is a cookbook for gamers. I've been working on it for about 1.5 years. Basically, when I joined Elo Hell is when I started it. I'd actually just started it before I joined Elo Hell, and being as busy as I haven't been able to put work on it from the team. But I've got like 3 chapters done. I just have to finish the dessert chapter, and the drinks chapter, and then I'll be done.
So soon TM.
I mean, I'm honestly wanting to get it done by September, but I have to. But I have to test the recipes. I have to get, and I'm doing everything in both imperial and metric. So
Thank you.
Well, I mean, because I'm hoping that this will go global. Because I mean, I want it to go global. I want it,
I mean, why
to
wouldn't
be
you,
good.
right?
But yeah, I've got breakfast, I've got snacks, I've got entrees, and then I've just got to get the sweets and the drinks done, and I'll be good.
Nice.
Zathon, wouldn't the dessert chapter just be 8 pages of Doritos? It's all just different flavors of Doritos. Also, like Paddington's response, coming in with all of the puns. I see you there, Paddington. I see you there. That made me chuckle. Anyway, sorry.
I just saw it. Doritos are savory, Zathon.
I appreciate that.
Next one. If you finish your casts and you're gonna have a pizza topping, and you're gonna have a pizza, what toppings are you gonna have?
Oh, I have a couple that I go through. My staple, I almost always get thin crust. I'm not a big thick crust. I like as little bit of crust as possible. I like a little crispy crust. But my standard go-to is hamburger, jalapeno, and green peppers. Is my usual go-to. I do have some variations. I will throw pineapple on there.
Oh God!
Okay, you can get out as well.
No, I'm taking over this stream. I'm just going to replace your heads with pineapples. Yeah, no, I don't mind pineapple on pizza.
Someone can edit that on.
There's a sweet and like a spicy that go together nicely. So,
what about you,
I
Billy?
don't always do it. I'm not super into pineapple.
I am a big fan of a just plain 6 cheese pizza with a couple of torn pieces of basil on it.
Nice.
And red pepper flakes.
You can never go wrong with red pepper flakes.
Oh yeah, gotta have the red pepper flakes. That we can agree on. Lion's Pride talking about cheeseburger pizza. It sounds amazing.
Ooh.
Zathon, yep.
Oh,
I got you, Zathon.
Yep. Ban Zathon. Okay.
And Zathon, yes.
No.
Nice.
I veto.
Yeah,
I veto.
I like
Disgusting.
I like
Disgusting.
oregano. Oregano on pizza is top tier. Or oregano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Yeah. All right, I got one more question for you guys.
Bring it on.
If you can only bring one character back to their original state in Overwatch, who would it be?
Ooh. Yeah, I assume you mean like launch day?
Yeah, launch day. Yeah, when they were launched. And we can
When they
go
were
as
launched.
deep as we can go as deep as we like here in terms of how it would affect meta right now.
That's the thing. I mean, like most characters were broken when they were launched in one way or another.
Yeah.
So that really is a tough one.
You have to choose one.
Can we just choose the
Ryan.
ability that we have to come back?
Rhine, but with Earthshatter and Pen not being glitchy. Like, do the glitches count? But I want my 2,000 shield and my 3-second shatter and like give me OG Rhine back. Although I like the extra damage. Can I keep the extra damage? Can I just pick out the parts that I want?
That nano speed boost is nice.
Yeah, but it didn't heal.
You can go for one ability.
It didn't heal though. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, Beyblade. Of course, the Beyblade. Sure.
I think I would like to see Barissa's Halt reverted back to where it was.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
God, no! Zathon Break 1.0. Like, ugh.
God, no.
I want Symmetra with her shield back, which she can deploy her Sigma shield.
Yeah,
I
she
feel
had
like
the
she'd
Sigma
be
shield.
she'd be so good if she had that back right now.
Oh God,
Oh god,
Ice
Old
Wizard would be
Halt.
even worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, Old Halt was a lot of fun to play with, but it was kind of game breaking.
True.
I just like yoinking people out of position just when they least expected it. That was my favorite part.
I like Scud
I
Arrow
mean,
just because it made people mad.
when Reaper was dropping death orbs, I see
Oh
somebody in
yeah.
chat saying Reaper. Yeah, Reaper
Torb
souls
armor
when they
packs.
actually dropped. Yeah, Tor with armor packs. Sure. Yeah.
Come a long
Hey,
way.
hey, Torb with a missile launcher on his turret. You had to upgrade. That's actually
Well,
a good question. I like that question.
yeah, it was a fun one. Alrighty. That's all we've got. Um, end
Awesome.
on end on a light note. Is there anything
I
else you
like
guys
it.
want to end with?
Just to appreciate y'all having us on here. And follow your heart. To everybody out there, follow your heart and believe in yourself, and it'll take you a long way. Never too young, never too old, and
Yes.
yeah, you gotta find your joy. You gotta find your joy in life. There's a difference between joy and happiness that I heard recently. I think it was a Matthew McConaughey speech of all things. He was talking about where happiness is like an end goal, where you have to like accomplish this end goal, and then you found happiness. But joy is something you take in the day to day and everything that you do. So find the joy in life, and find the joy in what you do.
I like that.
I think mine is everything can be positive. Even something horrible that's happened can be turned into a positive tangent. It doesn't have to hold you back. I've had things happen to me that have been horrible, but either you choose to keep moving forward or you choose to let it hold you back. The chains of the past can be the worst things, and for me, it's always moving forward. That's been my mantra, and I'm going to keep moving forward. So I want you guys to find the positivity in your lives and really lean into it, because there's enough negativity going on, especially here in America. We don't need it lump any extra on ourselves. So that's why I always say when I
Amen.
close out, I love you, bye, or love y'all, bye. I really mean that. And I want you guys to know that you have at least one person that loves you. That's me, and that's literally how I live my life. It's positivity to my best extent. And yes, I'm a human being. Yes, I have my low moments, but for the most part, I'm super positive. I'm pretty hyper about being positive too. And yeah, I love everybody. Like everybody is just a new friend that I haven't met yet. I'm a lot like my lab, Zeus.
I love that. Well, guys, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an honor. It's been really, really great having you guys come and giving us some background about you guys starting casting and who you are as people. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Yes, it was a wonderful time.
Anytime. We'll have you back on. And pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. See ya.
True that. Yeah, thanks for hosting, man.